Welcome to 52 Weeks of Gaming. As always, I am here to introduce the video and pass it on to Nick. So without further ado, Nick. So this week is Just Cause 3. I've never played it before, obviously. Never played any of the Just Cause games, but a lot of people always talk online about how Just Cause 3 is this crazy game where you can do crazy things and a lot of stuff like that, and it's just pure madness. And that was always the Just Cause games, was they were just pure madness. And so I figured I should probably go and do that because I like games that have pure madness. Here's looking at you, Saints Row. So let's do that and find out how it goes. So this week is Just Cause 3, which was developed by Avalanche Studios and published by Square Enix. The game came out, I do believe, in 2015 for, all the major systems, Xbox, PlayStation, Windows. And it's a sequel to 2, which was a huge success, and at the same time as Just Cause 3 was being made, Avalanche was making Mad Max. And so this was kind of their, I want to say, almost like a side project, even though Just Cause was a major franchise for them at this point. They wanted to keep the tone of Just Cause the same without going and changing too much of the structure, keeping things like the grapple and the parachute while bringing in something new like the wingsuit. And it was a success. A lot of people loved it and became a fantastic game that became really well known for doing crazy, ridiculous things and putting them online, like attaching the rockets to a cow and just launching it out into space. It also made some issues towards its narrative because of kind of how choppy, for lack of a better word, that it is. But overall, as a whole, it was considered a great game when it came out in 2015, and in 2018 did have a sequel come out that was Just Cause 4. And so without further ado, Nick's going to talk about his thoughts on the game. Okay, so Just Cause 3, the third game, is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I mean, I knew a bit about it in the sense of, this grapple gun, and you can kind of do these ridiculous things going into it. I always saw videos online of people being like, I'm going to go and put a rocket on a car and then use a grapple to tie it to a cow, and then I'm going to launch it into space and, just see what happens. And so I kind of had that idea going into it. I'm like, man, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. And it exceeds all of that. The game itself is fantastic. The story is kind of, I want to say, a bit hodgepodge because I didn't play the first two games. So I'm sure all the established characters like Rico and Dima and Sheldon, that you have all these characters that kind of had their backstory in the other games, and it's my fault for, not playing the other games and not really understanding it, so there's a bit of disconnect. But even the missions in the game itself, you go and do something and then suddenly it's like, oh, here's a jump to the next thing, here's a jump to the next thing, and it's kind of more focused on the challenges that you unlock that you can go and do, and the different providences that you can unlock and basically save. You have different outposts you can defeat, and it's liberating this whole area is really what it's called. And so you have 3 different islands, which I've done 2 so far at the time of this video because it's a big game, and I still have the third one to do. But it's about going to different outposts and towns, and you have to kind of help this rebellion defeat the dictator that's going and leading the country, and so you have to fight against his armies and that sort of stuff. But overall, it's a lot of fun. I mean, outside of, me thinking that Rico Rodriguez is the most interesting man in the world, at least that's who it sounds like does his voice, or he should be considered the most interesting man in the world. But it's just ridiculous is what I want to think of the game. It reminds me a lot of like the Red Faction series, of how things can just blow up, except Red Faction's like everything blows up. But this, it's kind of ridiculous going and putting a grapple onto a military person, any sort of soldier, and then tethering it to a building and then just pulling it in. It's just funny with the ragdoll physics in it, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things to go and do in this game, and go and explore. The islands themselves are massive. Just Cause has always had a massive map. I remember seeing it in comparisons of having just this huge, massive map, and its map now for Medici is pretty large. Each island does does take a little while to traverse, and you have things like the wingsuit and different vehicles and the parachute that you can go and use, but it does take some time. But as I said, there's a lot to go and do in this game outside of the missions and the challenges and the collectibles that you can go and get throughout the islands. And I like that after you go and liberate a whole island itself, you start to see, or liberate at least a little area, you start to see on the map question marks saying like, hey, here's a collectible over here. So it kind of helps out trying to go and figure it out. And when you get close, you get kind of like a sensor that goes off, and it shows how close you are in proximity to it. But it's a lot of fun. It's mindless fun. It's what I expected going into it, and it's what I got out of it. I absolutely love the game, and I love everything that there is about it. I know that the fourth one is out, and I've heard mixed things about that, but I probably will check it out as well because I love 3 so much. So as always, who do you think should go and play this game? I think anyone who's played the Just Cause games before would go and enjoy it. I think anyone who likes, like, I want to say it's somewhat based in reality, but is kind of ridiculous with all the grappling and the ridiculousness of it. I want to say it has Hitman ragdoll physics because it is pretty ragdoll-y for some of the stuff, but it's over the top and a lot of fun, and I gotta give it to the developers for making a game that is a lot of fun. So I really think everyone should at least go and try Just Cause 3 because there's something in it for everybody. Do you think you're gonna go and play the game more? I know some games you want to and some games you don't. What do you think about this one? As I said, I'm going to keep playing it. I absolutely love the game, and I need to go and complete it. It's definitely something that I want to perfect. I think it's within the realm of being able to perfect. It's not one of those games where it's like crazy difficult, and sure, there are going to be things that will make it a bit tricky, but I think I'm going to attempt to perfect the game, so I know I at least have to go and complete it. I'm not even close to being done with it. There's 3 acts and I'm only halfway through act 2, so I'm actually at the middle of the game, and so there's still a lot to go and do, and I plan on going and doing it. So I definitely know I got my worth out of the game, and I think other people will as well.